in the world did I just sit through? What did I just witness? I'm pretty sure I just had years shaved off the back end of my life. What a tough, ugly watch this game was, and on top of it, they lost. They lost.
When the Indiana Fever took the floor Saturday night against the Los Angeles Sparks, fans were ready for a different kind of story. But what began as a routine matchup quickly unraveled into yet another showcase of WNBA officiating blunders, and this time, the proof was impossible to ignore.
The one thing with that last play that I'm speaking about, it seemed like they called it a loose ball foul at first, which would have been favorable for us because we have him in the bonus. Yeah, we were in the bonus with 5.5 minutes left to go. First time all season, I was shocked. We grabbed the rebound. Looked like they called it a loose ball foul. Yikes, we could go to the free throw line. Oh, they changed it.
The Fever fell to the struggling Sparks, 89-87. But the score wasn't the real headline. It was the sight of officials turning a blind eye to basic player safety, ignoring Sophie Cunningham getting her face grabbed right in front of them.
The LA Sparks just got the spark versus the Fever for some reason, man. But the Sparks always have matched up well with the Fever since last season, man. Tough ending for the Fever girls, just some missed free throws, some questionable shots. Could have got it, man. Close game. I ain't been mad. The intensity is there, man. This team, if they can keep up this intensity, is going to be real nice when Caitlin Clark.
This wasn't just another bad night of officiating. It was blatant, systematic referee bias laid bare. Sophie Cunningham was literally tackled to the floor in what began as a 50-50th play, then had her face grabbed, and the officials did absolutely nothing.
The referees, let's just blame the referees and say, hey, but you called a loose ball foul. This was a game that we should have won. Again. And a game that we lost, unfortunately. 89-87, Los Angeles Sparks defeat.
Meanwhile, Sydney Coulson made a perfectly clean play, all ball, nothing else, and these same refs still called a foul. The absurdity hit peak levels when they spent nearly 5 minutes at the monitor debating what was clearly a textbook defensive stop.
A disaster. This was a disaster. The Indiana Fever cannot keep losing to teams like the LA Sparks if they're supposed to be a good team. And Rickea Jackson, she just flat abused the Fever in the last 3 minutes of the game. Seriously, what?
The contradiction was staggering. Cunningham gets her face grabbed after being tackled, and the officials might as well have been watching paint dry. But when Coulson makes a textbook defensive play, hands only on the ball, the whistles come out instantly. The hypocrisy was so blatant that even the broadcasters couldn't hide their disbelief at the absurd inconsistency.
Sydney Coulson, man, shout out to her, dog. I can't overlook her. 6 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds with that intelligent block, like it. 2 of 4 from the floor, and then 2 of 3 from the 3. I mean, she was shooting like she was the scorer of the team. She put on her airy bag tonight.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to subscribe. This is the same Sophie Cunningham who's been targeted all season for standing up for her teammates. She was the one defending Caitlin Clark when opponents took cheap shots, and now she's the one in need of protection the refs flat out refused to give. Saturday's footage shows Cunningham grabbed around the neck by Julie Van Loo during what should have been a routine loose ball play. No foul. Instead, the refs called a jump ball, as if violent contact to a player's face and neck is just standard basketball.
And we talked about this. We are circled on everybody's schedule. Everyone, no one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on, and we got to be better in that area. We have got to just stay disciplined, we have to stay focused, we need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right, in the fourth.
What makes this even more maddening is that we're talking about the same referee crew that spent an eternity at the monitor reviewing Sydney Coulson's clean block on Rickea Jackson. Coulson made a textbook defensive play, all ball, nothing else, yet the refs still called it a foul and then wasted 5 minutes debating the obvious before overturning it. The fact they even needed to review it shows just how clueless they are. This isn't just bad officiating, it's selective enforcement. Certain players get protected, while others are left wide open for cheap shots. When Cunningham gets grabbed by the face, the refs suddenly develop selective blindness. But when Coulson makes a clean stop, the whistle comes out faster than you can blink. This double standard has haunted the Indiana Fever all season, and Saturday night was its most blatant display yet.
They went with Lexi Hall in the starting lineup, and she was just trying to get charge calls all night, trying to get the charge calls because she was lacking with the size with Rakia Jackson. So I understood why she was doing it and trying to get Rakia in foul trouble. It was smart. But at the end of the day, that last play, you never flop and give the ref the game to call. You never flop in the clutch moment, man. I'm sorry.
The absurdity hit its peak when you remember the Fever lost to the Los Angeles Sparks, one of the worst teams in the WNBA this season. Coming in with a 5-13 record and the second worst standing in the league, the Sparks have struggled all year. Yet they managed to take down the Fever thanks to refs swallowing their whistles on obvious fouls while inventing phantom calls on clean plays. Caitlin Clark's absence was glaring. And those analysts claiming the Fever are better without her have officially exposed themselves as delusional. Anyone watching could see they were missing their superstar badly. With Clark healthy, this would have been a comfortable win. Instead, the Fever had to fight both their opponents and the officials, all without their best player.
Let's point out the obvious. A lot of people said it. We can officially rest in peace. R.I.P. Undertaker, Tombstone Piledriver. The theory that this team is better without Caitlin Clark. ESPN, you got your ears on? We can officially Tombstone Piledrive that BS. If you can't see how incredibly limited the Indiana Fever are on offense without CC, you're either not watching or you don't know what you're watching.
The Indiana Fever might be 9-9 in the standings, but against the refs, they are probably 0-10. Every game turns into an uphill battle, not just against their opponents, but against a systematic bias from officials who seem determined to make their lives miserable. When a team has to burn challenges on blatantly obvious calls while getting zero protection from dangerous plays, the system is broken. Case in point, first quarter, Sophie Cunningham gets grabbed around the neck by Julie Van Loo while diving for a loose ball. The contact was clear, deliberate, and completely unnecessary. Any competent official would have immediately called the foul and possibly more. Instead, these refs shrugged, called it a jump ball, and carried on like nothing happened, showing zero concern for Cunningham's safety. Meanwhile, Sydney Coulson makes a clean, textbook defensive block and gets whistled for a foul. The Fever are forced to challenge it, and even after seeing the replay, the refs still spend nearly 5 minutes at the monitor debating a call any rookie ref should get right instantly. Think about the message this sends. Grab a player by the face and neck? Play on. Execute perfect defensive technique? That's a foul, and it takes an eternity to maybe overturn it. This isn't just incompetence, it's selective enforcement that puts players' safety at risk and makes a mockery of the game.
5 assists, no turnover. Coulson, she played herself a good game. Michaela Timpson, 5 points, 1 block, really 2 blocks. I'm not sure why it's only talked about as 1. 6 rebounds. Michaela Timpson looked great today. Michaela Timpson looked pretty good today. I gotta be honest. 3 fouls in 12 minutes, not what you would like to see. 1 foul.
The Indiana Fever's loss to the Sparks was heartbreaking, not just because it was close, but because it came against a team they should have beaten with ease. The Sparks, now 6-13 after this win, remain one of the worst teams in the league. This was supposed to be a statement game for the Fever, especially at home and without Caitlin Clark. Instead, it turned into yet another showcase of how bad officiating can completely flip the outcome of a game. What made it sting even more was how close it stayed from start to finish. Despite missing their superstar and battling atrocious officiating, the Fever were right there in it. Aaliyah Boston powered the team with 23 points and 12 rebounds, while Natasha Howard added 21 points and 9 boards in another strong showing. The fight was there, but the combination of Clark's absence and blatantly biased officiating proved too much to overcome.
And also Howard was doing a big one too. 8 of 11 from the field, 21 points, had 4 turnovers. Have to take care of that ball, but 2 blocks, 1 steal, 3 assists, and 9 rebounds. Howard has been consistently giving us everything she got out there. So I have to give it to her. She's been giving us everything she got. So shout out to her. Yeah, they took care of the ball pretty well today.
The Fever missed their last 5 shots, 4 of them in the final minute, as the strain of playing shorthanded and battling the refs finally caught up to them. When you're constantly fighting uphill against both your opponent and the officials, every possession becomes a pressure cooker, especially when you know fair treatment isn't coming. This loss was a textbook example of everything wrong with WNBA officiating and its impact on competitive balance. The Fever have to play nearly perfect basketball while dealing with inconsistent, biased calls, while opponents get away with dangerous plays, like grabbing a player around the face and neck. The Sophie Cunningham incident marked a new low for officiating standards. Ignoring obvious dangerous contact while spending 5 minutes dissecting clean defensive plays is the clearest sign the refs have lost sight of their primary responsibility, protecting players and ensuring fair play. Cunningham's smile afterward doesn't erase the fact that the officials failed to do their job.
Somebody was saying earlier, and I took note of it, that when the Fever called a timeout at the very end of the game, anybody know Stephanie White didn't draw up any plays? What are you doing exactly? What would you say it is that you do here? Question mark. The office, your office space. What would you say it is that you do here exactly?
Coach Stephanie White deserves credit for continuing to call out the systematic bias, even at the cost of multiple fines for speaking the truth. After Saturday's loss, she again stressed the importance of discipline. But the real discipline that's missing is from the referees, who are turning professional basketball into a joke. The Indiana Fever will keep fighting through adversity because that's what championship-caliber teams do. They've proven they can compete without Caitlin Clark, winning the Commissioner's Cup and putting together strong performances, but they shouldn't have to battle referee bias on top of everything else. When Clark returns from her groin injury, this team will be a legitimate championship threat. Their defensive intensity and growing chemistry can carry them deep into the playoffs. Sophie Cunningham has been central to that growth, serving as the enforcer who protects her teammates when the officials won't. The WNBA must take a serious look at its officiating standards and accountability. When refs ignore dangerous contact to the face while nitpicking clean defensive plays, they've failed at their most basic job. The league's credibility is on the line, and fans are already noticing the bias that's deciding games.
They go into that. At the end of the day, we got to be more disciplined. I didn't feel like we guarded our yard very well. I felt like we had times where we got them going the direction that we wanted to, and we bailed them out by fouling. But they did a good job of continuing to just put their head down and attack us and force us into those fouls.
The Indiana Fever's 89-87 loss to the Los Angeles Sparks once again exposed the ugly truth about WNBA officiating. Sophie Cunningham was grabbed around the face with no call. Sydney Coulson made a clean defensive play that was somehow whistled as a foul. Yet, despite the corruption and bias, the Fever refused to let it derail their season. They've shown the heart and grit that true contenders possess. Sitting at 9-9, one thing is crystal clear. This team will not be victims of biased officiating forever. They are building something special. And when Caitlin Clark returns healthy, paired with Cunningham's fearless protection of her teammates and Coulson's winning plays, the Fever will be ready to take on anyone. The playoffs are still well within reach. This team has already proven they can win big games and go toe-to-toe with the league's best. All they need is for the referees to do their jobs, to protect all players equally, regardless of the jersey they wear. Until that happens, every game will be a fight against both their opponents and the officials. But make no mistake, this Fever squad is ready for any challenge that comes their way.